The marble was cold against Lyra's knees. 300 wolves watched as Alpha Ronan Dre stood beside his new Luna, the woman wearing the crown that was supposed to be Lyra's. "You need to leave," he said, his voice empty of the warmth she once knew. "This is not your world anymore. Human." That's all she was to them now. Never mind the bond she still felt burning in her chest. Never mind the 2 years they spent together before he sent her away without explanation. The humiliation crawled up her spine as every wolf in the hall stared at her like something broken, disposable. Then something inside her stirred. Hot, vast, terrifying. The throne moved, just an inch. But in a hall where ancient magic had stood unchanged for centuries, 1 inch might as well have been an earthquake. Every wolf went silent. The throne turned, away from the Alpha, away from his perfect, pure-blooded Luna, toward the human woman kneeling on cold stone. Lyra's breath caught as power she didn't understand, surged through her veins like wildfire. The throne moved again, deliberate this time, and she realized with shocking clarity, it was bowing to her. What did the throne see that no one else did? Why did the Alpha who broke her heart go pale with shock? And what happens when the power awakening inside Lyra could destroy everything, or save them all? Please subscribe to Ariel Romance Library to find out what happens when ancient magic chooses the wrong Luna. Like if you're ready for this story. And comment. Team Throne. Chapter 1. The Invitation That Should Have Burned. The black envelope appeared on a Thursday night. Lyra Quinn pushed open her apartment door after another endless shift at the diner, her uniform still reeking of burnt coffee and fryer grease. She kicked off her shoes, flicked on the single overhead light, and froze. On her kitchen table sat an envelope, thick black parchment that looked wrong against the cheap laminate surface. She had not put it there. No one had been in her apartment. Her fingers trembled as she reached for it. The moment she touched the silver wax seal, cold shot through her fingertips, sharp enough to make her gasp. The emblem pressed into the wax stared back at her. A crowned wolf. House Drace. 3 years. 3 years since she fled the Varen Packlands. 3 years since she built a new life in this cramped city apartment, convincing herself she was free. 3 years since she knelt on cold stone while Alpha Ronan Drace announced another woman as his Luna. She broke the seal. Inside, one line in elegant black ink. "You are summoned to bear witness." No signature, no explanation, just an address carved into her memory like a scar. Her hands shook so badly the parchment fluttered to the floor. Lyra. She spun. Nyra Hale stood in the doorway, a towel wrapped around her wet hair, eyes narrowing at the envelope on the ground. "Tell me you are not even thinking about going back there." Lyra tried to laugh it off, but the sound came out broken. "It's nothing." "That is not nothing." Nyra crossed the room and snatched up the parchment. Her face darkened as she read. "You are summoned? Who does this arrogant Alpha think he is? You do not owe him anything. You do not owe them anything." "I know." "Then why do you look like you are already packing?" Because she needed to see it. Needed to watch Ronan place that crown on Aveline Mora's perfect head so her heart could finally understand it was over. So the part of her that still woke up reaching for him in the dark could finally die. "I need closure," Lyra whispered. Nyra grabbed her shoulders. "Closure is a lie men invented so you would come back and let them hurt you again. That man made you kneel in front of his entire pack. He humiliated you. He chose someone else. I know what he did." "Then why are you crying?" Lyra had not realized she was. She wiped her face roughly. "I just need to see him give his heart to someone worthy. Then I can move on." "You are worthy, you stubborn fool." Nyra's voice cracked. "And if you are going back there, I am coming with you." "No, Lyra. I have to walk into that hall alone. I have to face where I was broken. Otherwise, I will spend the rest of my life running." Nira pulled her into a fierce hug. "If he hurts you again, I am driving up there and setting his precious throne room on fire." Lyra managed a small smile. "Deal." She packed a single bag that night, hands shaking with every folded shirt. By dawn, she was on the road. 6 hours to the Frostwood, 6 hours of ghosts. She passed the rusted sign for Frost Hollow Diner where Ronan once kissed the rain off her eyelashes, laughing at how she shivered in the storm. Past Silver Bridge Pass where he taught her to drive his truck, grinning when she stalled it 3 times in a row. Every mile peeled open old wounds she thought had scarred over. Twice she almost turned back. Twice she kept driving. By the time the Varen estate rose on the cliff ahead, Her heart was beating so hard she felt sick. The fortress looked like something carved from shadow and bone. Black stone towers clawed at the gray sky. Banners snapped in the wind, bearing the crowned wolf of House Drace. The air smelled of pine, storm, and something metallic she remembered as magic. Armored guards flanked the entrance. They recognized her immediately. She saw it in the way their eyes widened, the way their hands tightened on their weapons. But no one stopped her. They just watched her pass with tight throats and flicked glances. She was the human mistake, the one Ronan made kneel. Inside, the grand hall blazed with candlelight and crowded with wolves in dark finery. Lyra slipped along the shadowed edges, keeping her head down, praying no one would notice her. At the far end, on the raised dais, stood Alpha Ronan Drace. He wore black and silver, authority wrapped around him like a second skin. His dark hair was pulled back, revealing the sharp lines of his face. He looked every inch the powerful Alpha who ruled the Varen Packlands with iron control. Beside him stood Aveline Mora. She was everything Lyra was not. Moon-blonde hair cascading over pale shoulders, a gown like poured starlight. Perfect posture, perfect beauty, perfect breeding. Noble born, raised for this exact moment, Lyra pressed herself behind taller wolves, heart a wild animal trying to claw out of her chest. An elder stepped forward, robes sweeping the stone. Eldon Grey, she remembered. His face was lined with age and authority. In his hands he held the coronation crown, silver and bone, carved with runes Lyra did not understand. Ancient, sacred, the hall fell silent. "We gather tonight," Eldon intoned, "to crown the Luna of House Drace, to bind her to Pack, Throne, and Alpha, to honor the old laws and welcome the new reign." Wolves bowed their heads. Lyra pressed her back against the cold stone wall, wishing she could disappear. She told herself this was good, necessary. She needed to feel the final bullet so the wound could finally close. But all she could remember was the last time she stood in this hall, the last time she heard Ronan's voice echo off these walls. Kneel. She had knelt on that stone, felt it bite into her skin, tasted iron and humiliation as he announced Aveline Mora as his chosen Luna. As he told the entire pack that Lyra Quinn meant nothing, Eldon raised the crown above Aveline's head. "By the authority of the old blood and the ancient throne, I crown you." The candles flickered, every single one, all at once. The air grew colder. Lyra's breath fogged in front of her face. Ronan's eyes swept the hall, and for one terrible second, they found her. Shock fractured across his face, raw, unguarded shock. Then the crown twisted in Eldon's hands. The elder stumbled, eyes widening in alarm as the metal writhed like something alive. He tried to hold it, but it tore free from his grip. The crown hit the stone with a sound like a bell tolling, and rolled, down the steps, across the polished floor, past rows of stunned wolves. It stopped at Lyra's feet. The hall went deathly silent. Lyra stared at the crown, her mind blank with terror. Then stone scraped against stone. The Luna throne moved, ancient obsidian carved with silver veins, older than any pack, heavy as a mountain. It shuddered, groaned, and turned. Slowly, impossibly, the throne pivoted until it faced Lyra, and bowed. Chapter 2. The Throne That Bowed. Every wolf in the hall turned to stare at her. Lyra could not breathe, could not think. The crown lay at her feet like an accusation, and the throne, the ancient throne that had seated every Luna for generations, had just bowed to her. "Impossible!" Aveline's voice cut through the silence, sharp with fury. "Remove her. Now." Enforcers moved toward Lyra. She backed against the wall, knees threatening to give. Memories slammed into her. Kneeling, humiliation, the taste of tears. She refused to cry while Ronan stood above her and chose someone else. "Stop." One word, Ronan's voice. Command absolute. Every wolf in the hall froze. He descended the steps slowly, leaving Aveline alone on the dais. His eyes never left Lyra as he crossed the distance between them. Up close, she could see the shock still etched in his face, but underneath it was something else, something that looked like fear. "What is this?" Aveline demanded. "She should not even be here. This human has no—" The throne acknowledged her. Eldon's voice shook. "Such a thing has not happened in 3 generations." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Wolves shifted, uneasy. Some looked at Lyra with curiosity, others with suspicion, a few with something that might have been awe. Ronan stopped 3 feet from Lyra, close enough that she could smell pine and storm, the scent that used to mean safety and now just meant pain. "Who sent you the invitation?" His voice was low, controlled, but she heard the tremor underneath. "You did." The words came out bitter. "You summoned me to bear witness." "I sent no summons." Lyra's breath caught. "But the seal, the envelope, House Drace, was not me." His jaw clenched. "Someone wanted you here tonight. Someone wanted this." They stared at each other while the hall erupted in whispers. Someone had forged the invitation. Someone had orchestrated this entire disaster. "This coronation is postponed," Ronan announced, without looking away from Lyra. "Council will reconvene tomorrow night." "You cannot be serious." Aveline's voice climbed. "Because of her? Because some ancient stone moved? This is ridiculous. I am your chosen Luna. The council approved my—" I said, postponed. Alpha command rang in his voice, the kind that made wolves bare their throats in submission. "No one questions me in my own hall." Silence fell again, thick and suffocating. Ronan's hand closed around Lyra's wrist, not rough but firm. "You, with me." He pulled her through a side door before she could protest, into a dim corridor lit by flickering torches. The moment the door closed behind them, cutting off the stairs and whispers, he released her and stepped back like she had burned him. "Why did you come?" The question sounded like it was torn from him. "Because you invited me." Lyra's hands curled into fists. "I thought you wanted me to watch you crown your perfect Luna. One last humiliation for the human girl who was not good enough. I would never—" He stopped, jaw working. "I did not send that invitation." "Then who did?" "I do not know. But someone wanted you in that hall when the throne made its choice." "The throne did not choose anything." Lyra's voice shook. "It was a mistake. Magic misfiring. I am human. I have no place in your world. Remember? You made that very clear 3 years ago when you made me kneel and told me I meant nothing." Pain flashed across his face, quick and brutal. "Lyra, do not." She backed away from him. "Do not say my name like it means something. You do not get to do that anymore." They stood in the shadowed corridor, the space between them charged with 3 years of anger and heartbreak and words they had never said. Footsteps echoed behind them. Eldon appeared, his face pale and drawn. "Alpha, we need to speak. Not now. Now." The elder's voice was urgent. The throne's reaction was not random. It felt an old bond, a connection that should not exist. Ronan went very still. Eldon turned to Lyra, eyes searching. "You have a scar. Here." He touched his own collarbone. "How did you get it?" Lyra's hand flew to the spot instinctively, feeling the raised line of skin beneath her shirt. "A car accident, years ago." "Why does it matter?" "Because that is not a car accident scar." Eldon looked at Ronan with dawning horror. "That is an alpha healing mark. What did you do at Frostwood Bridge?" The color drained from Ronan's face. Memories slammed into him. Lyra could see it, the way his eyes went distant, the way his breathing changed. A night in the Frostwood, blood, broken glass, Lyra half-conscious, dying, him pressing his bleeding hand to her throat, begging her not to leave, pouring his alpha healing into her while the bond snapped into place like a living thing. He whispered, half to himself, "I should have let you remember." Lyra's world tilted. "What are you talking about?" But Eldon had already turned away, muttering under his breath. "A soul bond. You created a soul bond with a human, and then you rejected her publicly. Alpha, do you understand what you have done?" "I had no choice." Ronan's voice was raw. "There is always a choice. Not when the council threatens to slaughter her entire family if I refuse their command." The words fell like stones into water. Lyra stared at him, unable to process. "What?" Ronan met her eyes, and for the first time since she returned, she saw him without the mask, broken, exhausted, guilty. "I never wanted Aveline. The council discovered our bond and threatened everyone you love. Your parents, your brother. They gave me an ultimatum. Publicly choose a noble-born Luna and cast you aside, or watch them burn down everything you care about. So I made you hate me. I thought if you left hating me, you would be safe." Lyra could not breathe, could not think. 3 years. 3 years of believing she was not enough, that he chose power over her, that she meant nothing, and it was all a lie. Fury ignited in her chest, white-hot and overwhelming. She shoved him, hard. He did not resist, just let her push him back against the stone wall. "You do not get to make that choice for me." Her voice shook with rage. "You do not get to decide what my life is worth. You stole my right to choose. You broke me and told yourself it was for my own good." "I know." His hands came up to catch her wrists, gentle even as she fought him. "I know. And I am sorry. I have been sorry every day for 3 years." They ended up chest to chest, her fists pressed against him, his hands circling her wrists. The bond hummed between them like a live wire, singing with proximity and longing and pain. She hated how good it felt, hated how right it felt to be this close to him. "I hate you," she whispered. "I know. I came here to watch you crown her. I wanted to see you give your heart to someone worthy, so I could finally let you go. I know. Why did the throne bow to me?" Before he could answer, howls split the air. Warning bells clanged from the watchtowers. Shouts echoed through the fortress. Ronan released her instantly, alpha instinct taking over. "Stay inside." "What is happening?" "Hybrid attack. They have breached the inner grounds." He shifted as he ran, bones cracking and reforming, until a massive silver-gray wolf tore down the corridor toward the courtyard. Lyra stood frozen for exactly 3 seconds. Then she ran after him. Chapter 3: Blood, Bridge, and Bond. The courtyard was chaos. Wolves in half-shift fought against creatures that should not exist, bigger than any natural wolf, eyes burning red, movements wrong and twisted. Hybrids. Corrupted by magic Lyra did not understand. Ronan was in the center of it all, a silver whirlwind of teeth and claws. He moved with brutal efficiency, protecting his pack, taking down enemies twice his size. Lyra pressed against the doorway, heart hammering. She should go back inside. She should hide. She was human. She had no place in this battle. A hybrid wolf broke through the line, charging straight toward her. Instinct screamed at her to run, but something else rose up inside her. Something old and furious and absolute. "Stop." The word left her mouth with power behind it. The hybrid slammed to a halt 3 feet away, so abruptly it skidded on the stone. Its red eyes flickered, dimmed, and then it dropped to the ground, belly exposed, whimpering. Lyra stared at it in shock. Around the courtyard, wolves had stopped fighting to stare at her. Even Ronan, blood-streaked and panting, stood frozen. The remaining hybrids retreated, scrambling over the walls and disappearing into the forest. Silence fell, broken only by heavy breathing and the drip of blood on stone. Eldon appeared beside Lyra, his eyes glowing with recognition. "You carry Luna authority, and something older. I do not understand." Lyra's hands were shaking. "I am human." "No." Eldon touched the scar at her collarbone. "You carry dormant shifter blood. Not enough to shift, but enough to bond, enough to command. When Ronan healed you with his blood, he awakened something in you that had been sleeping." Ronan shifted back to human form, ignoring his nakedness and injuries. He crossed the courtyard in long strides, stopping in front of Lyra. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, unable to speak. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. The bond flared between them, warm and fierce. "You should not have followed me out here. You should not have lied to me for 3 years." His eyes closed briefly. "I know." Around them, pack wolves gathered, watching their alpha touch the human girl with a gentleness that contradicted every rule, watching her stand strong while hybrids fled from her command. Marek Voss, Ronan's second, approached cautiously. "Alpha, whoever sent those hybrids knows what she is now. They will come back, then she stays here, under my protection." "Ronan," Lyra started. "No." His voice went hard. "You are not leaving, not until we know who is targeting you. You cannot just order me around." "I can, and I will." His hand was still on her face, thumb stroking her skin like he could not help himself. "I let you go once. I will not make that mistake again." Something in Lyra's chest cracked open at those words. Eldon cleared his throat. "There is a way to strengthen the bond between you. A blood ward. It will allow you to sense each other across distances. to draw on each other's strength in battle. No. Lyra stepped back, forcing Ronan's hand to fall. I did not agree to any of this. I came here for closure, not to get dragged back into your world. It is already your world. Ronan's voice was quiet. It has been since the night I saved you at Frostwood Bridge. The throne recognized that. It has been waiting for you to come home. This is not my home. Yes, it is. They stared at each other while wolves watched, and the forest whispered with threats. Finally, Lyra whispered, "Tell me what happened that night. All of it." So Ronan did. He told her about the rogue attack at Frostwood Bridge, how her car went off the road into the ravine, how he found her broken and bleeding, her pulse fading, how he shifted to human and pressed his bleeding hand to her throat, using alpha healing in desperation. "I felt the bond snap into place," he said quietly. "Soul bonds are rare. They only form when two people are meant to be together, when one saves the other on the edge of death. I felt you become part of me, and I knew the council would never accept it, so you made me forget. I asked Eldon to suppress your memory of that night. I thought if you did not remember the bond, did not remember what we were to each other, you could live a normal life. But bonds do not break just because you forget them. They stay, buried deep, waiting." Lyra touched the scar at her collarbone. "Why did you reject me?" "Because 2 weeks after Frostwood, the council discovered the bond. They came to me with photographs of your family, your parents at their home, your brother at university. They told me if I did not publicly choose a noble-born Luna, they would cleanse the human ties. They gave me 3 days." His voice cracked on the last word. "I thought if I made you hate me, if I humiliated you so completely that you would never want to come back, you would be safe. I thought breaking your heart once was better than getting you killed." Lyra's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. "You were wrong. I know. You do not get to decide what I can survive. You do not get to break me to save me. I know." He reached for her hand carefully, like she might pull away. "I am sorry. I have been sorry every moment since." The bond hummed between them, warm and alive despite 3 years of silence. Eldon stepped forward. "The Blood Ward will protect you both. If one of you is in danger, the other will know. If one of you is hurt, the other can lend strength. It is a practical magic, nothing more." Lyra looked at Ronan, at the man who saved her, bound himself to her, then shattered her to keep her alive. "If we do this," she said slowly, "it changes nothing between us. I understand. I still hate you." "I know." She did not know why that made fresh tears threaten. They performed the ritual in a small chamber beneath the fortress, salt circle drawn on stone, silver knife gleaming in candlelight. Eldon spoke words in a language older than memory. Ronan knelt across from Lyra, his palm pressed over the scar at her collarbone, her bloody hand pressed over his heart. When the ward snapped into place, Lyra gasped. She felt everything. His exhaustion, his guilt, the constant ache of missing her, the love that had never dimmed. Not even when he forced her to kneel and called another woman's name. She collapsed forward. He caught her, arms coming around her as she shook. "I feel you," she whispered against his shoulder. "I know. I have felt you every day for 3 years, even when you were gone." They stayed like that, kneeling in the salt circle, holding each other while the bond settled into place like it had always been there, like it had just been waiting to be remembered. That night, Lyra dreamed of the Frostwood. She walked through silver trees under a full moon. The forest was alive with whispers and shadows. A wolf appeared ahead of her. Massive, silver gray, storm-colored eyes. Ronan. They did not need words here. The bond carried everything. His relief at having her near, his terror that she would leave again, his desperate, aching love that had survived 3 years of silence and sacrifice. She knelt in the dream grass and buried her fingers in his fur. "I hate that I still want you," she said aloud. His wolf form shimmered, and suddenly he knelt before her in human form, hands framing her face. "Then hate me," he whispered. "Just do not leave." She woke before dawn, heart racing, the bond warm in her chest. Chapter 4. Training a Lunaborn Wrong. Training began at sunrise. Ronan led Lyra through the garden maze behind the fortress, breath steaming in the cold morning air. Young wolves followed at a respectful distance, watching their alpha train the human girl who made hybrids kneel. Luna authority is command, Ronan explained, circling her slowly. It is the ability to make wolves submit through will alone, but it requires control. If you panic, you could hurt someone. I do not want to hurt anyone. I know. But fear will make you powerful, not careful. So we train until power becomes instinct. He gestured to a young wolf named Kiera. She stepped forward nervously. Make her sit, Ronan instructed. Lyra looked at Kiera, who was barely 18 and terrified. I do not do it. Lyra focused on the girl, searching for that feeling from the courtyard battle, that certainty, that absolute command. Sit. Kiera dropped instantly, legs folding beneath her. Lyra gasped. I am sorry. I did not mean. You did well. Ronan's voice was warm with pride. Through the bond, she felt his satisfaction like a physical touch. Now release her. How? Tell her she is free. You are free, Lyra said quickly. Kiera stood on shaking legs, but she was smiling. That was amazing, Luna. I am not. Lyra stopped, looked at Ronan. I am not Luna. The throne says otherwise. They trained for hours. Sit, stand, kneel, release. Each time, Lyra's control improved. Each time, Ronan stood close, voice low at her ear, correcting her stance, praising her successes. His fingers brushed her jaw when he needed her to look at him. His hand steadied her waist when she swayed with exhaustion. Nothing inappropriate, nothing that crossed lines. But the bond sang between them, and every touch felt like fire. You are holding back, he said during a break. I am doing what you asked. No, you are afraid of your own power. But power is not the enemy. Cruelty is. And you are not cruel, Lyra. She looked up at him, at this alpha who had broken her and saved her and bound himself to her so completely that 3 years apart felt like a single long breath. How do you know? Because I feel you. His hand came up to rest over his heart. Every moment, every emotion. And there is no cruelty in you, only strength trying to remember itself. That night, Lyra lay awake in her guest chamber, feeling Ronan's presence through the bond. He was in his study, pacing, worried about the hybrid attack and whoever had sent that forged invitation. She closed her eyes and reached through the bond. His pacing stopped. She felt his surprise, his warmth. Sleep, he sent back. Not words, but feeling. Concern for her. You first, she replied. His laugh echoed through the bond, soft and sad and fond. Neither of them slept. 3 days after the coronation disaster, Eldon came to Ronan's study with ancient texts spread across his arms. I found something. Lyra had been training in the courtyard. She arrived, still breathing hard, sweat cooling on her skin. Eldon laid out a manuscript, pages yellowed with age. There is a prophecy about a Luna born from 2 worlds, human and wolf, someone who could bridge the divide and challenge corrupted alphas. What does it say? Ronan leaned forward. That she would make even rogue wolves kneel, that the throne itself would recognize her, and that her coming would herald either salvation or destruction. Silence fell heavy in the study. Which one? Lyra asked quietly. That depends on the choices she makes. Wonderful. No pressure. Merrick burst through the door without knocking, face grim. We found something in the western woods. You need to see this. They rode out at sunset. Ronan, Lyra, Eldon, and Merrick. The forest grew darker as they traveled, trees twisted, air thick with wrongness. Marek led them to a clearing where the grass had died in a perfect circle. In the center, a stone altar, runes carved in dried blood. The stench of dark magic thick enough to choke on. Eldon dismounted, examining the symbols with shaking hands. This is a severing ritual. A what? Lyra asked. A forbidden magic designed to break mate bonds. It requires 3 nights of blood sacrifice, each one weakening the bond until it shatters completely. Ronan had gone very still. How many nights have been completed? 1. Eldon touched the altar, then jerked his hand back. Whoever is casting this is powerful, and they are targeting a specific bond. Lyra looked at Ronan. Through the bond, she felt his dread. They are targeting us, she whispered. Yes, who would do this? Before anyone could answer, they heard chanting. Deep in the forest, a voice rose and fell in a language that made Lyra's skin crawl. Tonight was the second night, and someone was out there right now, trying to erase her bond with Ronan forever. Chapter 5. The Night of Kneeling. They set a trap. Ronan positioned warriors at the perimeter of the clearing, hidden in the trees. Marek coordinated from the north. Eldon prepared counterspells, though he admitted grimly that interrupting an active severing ritual could kill everyone within range. Then how do we stop it? Lyra asked. We stop the caster. Lyra volunteered to be bait in the clearing. Ronan hated it. She felt his fury and fear through the bond like a living thing. No, we need to draw them out. They are doing this because of me. Let me end it. They argued for 20 minutes. In the end, Ronan yielded because through the bond he could feel her determination. She would not bend on this. If anything goes wrong, he said quietly, I am coming for you. I know. As the moon rose, Lyra stood alone in the clearing. The smell of old blood made her nauseous. The dead grass crunched under her feet. Every shadow looked like a threat. Through the bond, she felt Ronan hiding just beyond the tree line. His presence steadied her. Midnight came. A figure stepped from the forest, hood drawn, hands already bleeding. They approached the altar and began chanting, words that made Lyra's bones ache, words that tasted of corruption. The figure pulled back their hood. Aveline Mora. Perfect, beautiful, noble-born Aveline. The woman Ronan was supposed to crown. The woman the council chose. She looked at Lyra with vicious satisfaction. You should have stayed away. Why are you doing this? Because he was mine. Aveline's voice shook with rage. I was chosen. I was supposed to be Luna. And then you appeared, and the throne bowed to you. And everything I worked for turned to ash. She slammed her bleeding palm onto the altar. The circle ignited. Blood runes blazed red. Pain tore through Lyra's chest. She felt the bond fray, threads snapping one by one. In the forest, Ronan roared in agony. Through their connection, she felt him drop to his knees. My father taught me this magic, Aveline continued, her chanting never stopping. Darian Voss knows how to break bonds, how to make alphas forget their human mistakes. When I am done, Ronan will not remember you, and I will finally have what should have been mine from the beginning. Lyra tried to move, to stop her, but the severing magic pinned her in place. The bond unraveled faster. She felt pieces of Ronan tearing away, felt his agony, felt him trying to reach her through a connection that was dissolving. Wolves appeared at the clearing's edge, but the active ritual formed a barrier. Eldon shouted warnings. Marek tried to cross and was thrown back violently. Lyra was alone in the circle with Aveline and a magic designed to erase everything. She felt Ronan's presence dimming, felt the warmth fading. No, something ancient rose in her chest, something that predated councils and politics and blood magic. She was Luna, not because a throne said so, not because of some prophecy, but because she chose to be, and she refused to let anyone erase what she and Ronan had survived. A word rose in her throat, in a language she had never learned. She spoke it. Power erupted from her like a shockwave. Aveline slammed to her knees so hard bone cracked against stone. Her chanting cut off with a scream. Every wolf within range dropped, foreheads to earth, whimpering in instinctive submission. Even Eldon bowed under the weight of her command. Only Ronan remained half standing, shaking but not broken, bound to her as equal. The blood circle flickered and died. The bond between them snapped back into place, burned but intact. Lyra stood in the center of the clearing, breathing hard, power still crackling around her like lightning. Aveline looked up with wild, terrified eyes. What are you? Luna, Lyra said quietly. Whether you like it or not. Marek and other warriors recovered, moving to restrain Aveline. But before they could bind her, she laughed. It does not matter. My father is already coming. Darian Voss will burn this pack to ash for what you are, for what you represent. He will kill everyone you love, and you will watch. She smiled, blood on her teeth. He will come now, and you cannot stop him. Chapter 6. War in the House of Drace. They held Aveline in the cells beneath the fortress, chained with silver that burned her skin. Lyra stood outside her cell, staring at the woman who had tried to erase her. Why does your father care so much about me? Aveline's laugh was bitter. Because you prove everything he has built his power on is a lie. What lie? That shifters are superior. That humans are fragile tools meant to serve, never to stand equal. You are a bridge between worlds. You carry both bloodlines, and you command wolves with authority that rivals any alpha born to power. She leaned forward as far as her chains allowed. My father has spent 30 years convincing the council that human bonds weaken packs, that alphas who mate outside our bloodlines invite destruction. Then you appear, carrying Luna authority that makes even hybrids kneel. You are his worst nightmare made flesh. Eldon appeared in the doorway. We have the blood test results. Lyra followed him to his study, where Ronan was already waiting. You carry dormant wolf blood, Eldon explained, spreading documents across his desk. From a lone wolf ancestor, 3 generations back, your great-grandmother. She disappeared from pack records before you were born. No one knew she had human children, so I am part shifter. Not enough to shift, but enough that when Ronan's blood mixed with yours, it awakened something. The bond, the Luna authority, all of it was always inside you. It just needed the right catalyst. Ronan stood at the window, tension radiating through the bond. Darian Voss is coming. We need to prepare. How do you know? Lyra asked. Because he has been planning this for years. I was never supposed to bond with you. The council chose Aveline specifically because her father controls half their votes. If I had married her, Darian would have ruled through us both. Merrick entered without knocking, face grim. Perimeter scouts report movement in the forest. Multiple groups, coordinated. They will hit us before dawn. How many? At least 50 hybrids, maybe more. Ronan turned from the window, alpha authority settling over him like armor. Sound the alarm. Get civilians to the lower levels, warriors to defensive positions. No one fights alone. The fortress erupted into controlled chaos. Wolves rushed to positions. Weapons were distributed. Wards were reinforced. Lyra found herself in the armory, watching Ronan prepare for battle. You should stay in the safe room, he said without looking at her. No, Lyra, I am not hiding while you fight for our pack. He turned to face her then, something fierce and proud burning in his eyes. Our pack. The throne chose me, remember? That makes them mine as much as yours. Through the bond, she felt his fear for her, his desperate need to keep her safe. But underneath it was respect, trust. Stay close to me, he said finally. And if I give you an order, you follow it. No arguments. I make no promises. His laugh was short and sharp. I would expect nothing less. The lights went out. Backup power flickered red. Alarm bells shrieked, then were abruptly cut. Through the bond, Lyra felt Ronan's cold fury. They are inside. Multiple breaches at once. Hybrids poured through shattered windows, broken doors, collapsed walls. Eyes glowing red with corrupted magic, movements too fast and too strong. Ronan shifted mid-stride, his clothes tearing away as massive silver wolf took their place. He dove into battle with lethal grace. Lyra ran with him, staying close like he ordered. Around them, pack wolves fought desperately against creatures that should not exist. She felt her Luna power rise, steady and sure now after days of training. A hybrid charged her. She spoke the command, and it dropped mid-leap, whimpering. Another came from behind. She spun and made it submit before it could strike. Through the bond, she felt Ronan's surprise, his fierce pride. They fought through corridors slick with blood, defending their pack side by side. Every time Lyra commanded an enemy wolf to submit, Ronan was there to finish it. Every time he was overwhelmed, she made his attackers hesitate just long enough for him to recover. The bond hummed between them, sharing strength and strategy. Marek appeared, bleeding from a shoulder wound. The holding cells were hit. Explosion. Aveline is gone. Ronan shifted back to human, ignoring his nakedness. Where? Throne room. Someone saw her father drag her there. They ran. The throne room was destroyed. Pillars cracked, windows shattered, blood splattered across ancient stone. In the center stood Darian Voss. He was older than Lyra expected, gray threading his dark hair, lines carved deep around his mouth, but his eyes burned with zealot certainty. At his feet, Aveline knelt with a collar around her throat, metal forged with blood magic, glowing sickly red. So, Darian said calmly, the half-blood bridge at last. Ronan moved to stand between Lyra and Darian, protective instinct overriding strategy. This ends tonight, Ronan said. Yes, it does. Darian smiled. I am giving you one final choice. Alpha Drace. Submit to me, and I will let your pack live. Refuse, and I will kill everyone you love, starting with the abomination at your back. He twisted his hand. The collar around Aveline's throat tightened. She screamed. Lyra felt sick. Stop. You are killing your own daughter. She failed me. Failed her purpose. This collar will remind her what happens when Voss blood disappoints. He looked at Ronan. Choose. Ronan lunged. The fight was brutal. Darian had enhanced himself with the same corruption that created the hybrids. He was faster than any normal alpha, stronger, his claws leaving burning wounds. Through the bond, Lyra felt every blow Ronan took, every crack of bone, every desperate surge of fury and fear. Darian was winning. He slammed Ronan against a pillar hard enough to crack stone. You should have chosen the noble daughter when I gave you the chance. You should have known your place. Ronan spat blood. My place is with her. Darian raised his claws for a killing blow. Lyra moved, not toward Darian, toward the bond, toward every wolf in the Varen Packlands, corrupted or not, hybrid or pure. She opened herself completely and let her Luna authority flood outward like a wave. Every wolf in the fortress felt it, a presence vast and ancient and absolutely sure. She was not asking, she was offering a choice. You can keep fighting for a tyrant who tortures his own daughter, she sent through the power. Or you can break his hold and remember what it means to be free. One by one, red eyes flickered. A hybrid attacking Merrick stopped mid-strike, confusion replacing rage. Another backed away from a wounded warrior, whimpering. Around the fortress, Darian's forces wavered. His magic faltered with each soldier who rejected him. Lyra turned her full attention to the collar around Aveline's throat. She focused every bit of Luna authority she possessed on that single piece of corrupted metal. Break. The collar cracked, splintered, fell away in pieces. Aveline gasped, herself again, and crawled away from her father. Darian roared in fury. You think you have won? You think you can stand against centuries of pure bloodline tradition with your mongrel power? I am not standing against tradition, Lyra said quietly. I am standing for wolves who deserve better than tyrants who torture their own children. Ronan used Darian's distraction to strike. The fight was vicious and fast. Without his corrupted magic feeding him power, Darian was just an older alpha facing a younger, stronger opponent who fought for everything he loved. Ronan took him down in brutal, clean combat. Darian yielded with blood in his mouth, eyes burning with hatred. You have destroyed everything. The council will never accept her. Then we will find a new council. Pack warriors dragged Darian away. Medical teams rushed in to help the wounded. Slowly, the fortress began to breathe again. Lyra stood in the center of the destroyed throne room, exhausted and shaking. The throne had survived, scarred now, but still standing. Ronan crossed to her, still bleeding, still in battle form. But his eyes were only for her. You saved us. We saved each other. Around them, pack wolves gathered, bloodied, exhausted, but alive. Eldon appeared, robes torn, face pale. He looked at Lyra for a long moment. Then he knelt. One by one, every wolf in the throne room followed. Ronan stood at her side and spoke clearly. Will you stand with me? Lyra looked at the throne that had chosen her, at the pack that had followed her into battle, at the man who had broken her heart to save her life and never stopped loving her through 3 years of silence. Yes, the throne moved. Not in panic this time. Slowly, deliberately, it turned toward Lyra and bowed. Eldon placed the Luna crown on her head. It settled without a flicker. Perfect fit. The hall erupted in howls. Chapter 7. When the throne bowed, the coronation happened 3 days later. A real one this time. No disasters, no disruptions. Just Lyra standing before her pack, accepting a role she never asked for but somehow always belonged to. She wore silver and midnight blue. The crown felt lighter than it looked. Ronan stood beside her in black, his hand resting at the small of her back. Through the bond, she felt his steady pride, his overwhelming love, his quiet joy at finally having her where she belonged. Eldon spoke the old words. Wolves howled their acceptance. The throne remained perfectly still, as if satisfied at last. When it was done, when Lyra officially became Luna of House Drace, Ronan leaned close and whispered in her ear, There is somewhere I want to show you. They slipped away from the celebration, through corridors, and out into the moonlit gardens. He led her to a spot she remembered, a hidden alcove behind climbing roses where they used to meet in secret before everything fell apart. "I used to come here every night after you left," Ronan said quietly. "I would sit here and feel you through the bond, even though you were too far away to reach. I would wonder if you were safe, if you were happy, if you hated me as much as I needed you to." Lyra touched his face. "I did hate you. For a while. I know. I also never stopped loving you, even when I wanted to." His breath caught. "Lyra, 3 years," she continued. 3 years of convincing myself I was better off without you, that you were cruel and cold and I was lucky to escape. But every night I dreamed of you in the frostwood. Every morning I woke up reaching for you, and I hated myself for it. "I am sorry," his voice broke. "I am so sorry for every moment I made you doubt yourself, for every second you spent thinking you were not enough. I know you are. I feel it through the bond every single day." She pressed her forehead to his. "But I need you to understand something. I am not forgiving you because you had good reasons. I am forgiving you because I choose to. Because holding on to anger was destroying me more than you ever did." His arms came around her, careful and reverent. "I do not deserve you." "Probably not." She smiled against his shoulder. "Good thing the throne disagrees." His laugh was wet. "I love you. I have loved you since the night at Frostwood Bridge, when I felt your heartbeat stutter back to life under my hands. I have loved you through 3 years of silence and sacrifice, and missing you so badly I forgot what it felt like to breathe properly. And I will love you for however long you let me." Lyra pulled back to look at him, at the alpha who saved her, broke her, and never stopped fighting for her even when she did not know it. "Forever," she said. "You can love me forever." She kissed him. Not desperate this time, not stolen or rushed, just chosen, deliberate, full of promise. He kissed her back like she was air and he had been drowning. His hands cupped her face, thumbs stroking her cheekbones, holding her like she was precious beyond measure. The bond sang between them, whole and healed and stronger than any magic. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Lyra smiled. "So, Luna of House Drace, that is going to take some getting used to. You already command wolves like you were born to it." Ronan brushed hair from her face. "The only thing that changed was everyone else finally accepting what I always knew." "What is that?" "That you are exactly where you are supposed to be." In the distance, they heard howls from the celebration. Their pack, their family. Lyra thought about the black envelope that appeared on her kitchen table weeks ago, the summons that dragged her back to a place she swore never to return. She thought about the throne that moved, the crown that rolled to her feet, the bond that refused to break no matter how hard the world tried to sever it. 3 years ago, she knelt on cold stone while an alpha chose someone else. Tonight, the throne itself had bowed to her. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. Ronan smiled. "Now we rebuild. We create a council that respects both wolves and humans. We teach packs that strength comes from acceptance, not purity. We change everything that needs changing. Together? Together." He kissed her forehead. "Always together." They stayed in the garden until dawn, wrapped in each other and the bond that had survived everything the world threw at them. The throne had chosen, the Luna had risen, and the girl who once knelt in humiliation now stood crowned, powerful, and absolutely free. Weeks later, Lyra stood in her private chambers, reading a letter from Naira. "So you are Luna now? You, who burned toast in our apartment. I am equal parts proud and terrified. Also, I told you that Alpha was obsessed with you. I was right. You owe me dinner. A fancy one. In your palace. Because apparently you live in a palace now. My best friend is royalty. This is wild. Love you. Do not let anyone make you kneel ever again." Lyra smiled, folding the letter carefully. Through the window, she watched Ronan training young wolves in the courtyard. He looked up, feeling her gaze through the bond, and smiled. She had come here for closure, for an ending. Instead, she found a beginning. The throne had moved for her. The crown had chosen her. And for the first time in 3 years, Lyra Quinn was exactly where she belonged. Home. Thank you for watching this story from Ariel Romance Library. If Lyra's journey from humiliation to power touched your heart, Please subscribe for more stories about Lunas who refuse to stay on their knees, alphas who learn what real strength means, and love that rewrites ancient laws. Hit that like button and let me know in the comments which moment made your heart race. Until next time, remember, sometimes the throne knows your worth before you do.